All right. Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's Johan with Charleston, episode 11, part 2. We're talking today about Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and the great city it is. And today's guest joins us from Saskatoon. He's a friend of mine for many years. We went to U of S together. This is a three-time Grey Cup champion. This is a member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. This is Mr. Scott Flory, head coach of the University of Saskatchewan football team. Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Johan, and hey, Charleston. It's absolute pleasure to join you guys here this morning.
No, I think I haven't talked to you since you retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott.
You know, the coaching life, right, man? You're a hermit, so you spend all the time underground, I guess.
Oh, I can only imagine right now. I've been a player coach for the last 3 years, so I can only imagine how it is.
And only getting one salary though, man. You're getting ripped off, huh?
I know, man. I know.
There you go. You're pushing for Charleston's coaching career / playing career. Let's see what we can do now. So, yeah. Scotty, how you doing? How's things in Saskatoon during COVID? How you been? No football coming up. That's a big news came out of Sask, or I guess University Sports, U Sports. What the hell are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, it honestly, like, it was really weird, just the timing of it, because we were heading into our spring ball. We got one practice and we were heading into kind of the meat of our spring, ended up to our spring camp. We got the big fundraiser, the dog's breakfast. We had Jim McMahon coming up to Saskatoon. It was going to be, man, it was going to be wild. It was going to be like one of the, if not the best breakfast ever. And then everything just stopped, right? On a dime, everything just stopped. And it took us a while to kind of adjust out. We didn't know how long it was going to last, and it just keeps going. And then we get into June, and then they end up canceling our competitive season for the fall. It doesn't limit us to practice and to have exhibition games, but to cancel the competitive season, it's pretty tough. There's a lot of things, like there's a lot of fallout that may come from that, just with players and school and where guys are at, and you'd hate to see guys, not play their last game by them not choosing to, by having something else taken away from them. And it's odd. We're still going to be busy. We're still going to have programming. We're still going to be doing stuff. It's just not going to be building towards a championship, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean,
I was going to say, what kind of ways can you cater to the seniors that aren't going to get a chance to play a season this year, to kind of help them still be able to display their talents? Like, I don't even know how you be able to do that. Probably virtually, you can put them through workouts on the field or be constantly posting stuff just to give them a shot to at least get out there and still display what they can do.
Yeah, our strength conditioning coach has been fantastic through the whole thing, giving programs, getting guys out. And then when the gyms opened up, guys are back and getting together. We're still in small groups. It's ever expanding, so we got access the other day to get on fields on the university campus, so we can start running and training again. I think the biggest thing is guys just want to be around each other, right? Like you miss your teammates, man, and the guys want to be around each other, and that's slowly coming back. The hard part is, you're right. I mean, we had guys that were supposed to be going to the CFL regional combine. That we had 5 guys drafted this year. I think it's the most in our program's history for 30 years, if not ever, to have 5 guys taken. They may not have an opportunity to even get to a CFL training camp, right, to be able to show what they can do. So, and then that senior year, I mean, it is tough, and we're going to do whatever we can in the fall. I just don't know what that looks like here today, and we're going in the right direction, right, especially in Saskatchewan. So hopefully it keeps progressing.
Yeah, we want to be able to give you a chance to be able to kind of talk about Saskatoon, showcase the U of S, because we got a lot of viewers from all over in the U.S. I mean, like I was telling Mayor Charlie Clark yesterday in Saskatoon, we got viewers from Michigan. They follow Charleston because he's a living legend down there. We got viewers from Vegas. We got viewers from all over. And you get a chance to be able to kind of do a little recruiting pitch, and to anybody maybe from the States or all over Canada, talk about U of S. But before we get into that, I want to talk about your days in the CFL playing against Mr. Hughes. If you remember, that was a while back.
Yeah, this is what I remember. I know, listen, Charlie, I obviously remember you're a heck of a player. He didn't come inside too much. See, I was a guard, so he likes the edge and maybe freedom and less bodies inside. So I usually I didn't get to too much time against you. You like to live out on the edge, but every now and again I'll be able to come out there and try to give him a shot or two.
Well, I got some stats here in Charleston. Maybe you can talk about this. Throughout you have 105 sacks in the CFL, Charleston, so far.
130 really, but yeah.
Charleston, that's 130.
Yeah, we compete ain't always right.
You go ahead. Okay, so we'll say 130. Out of those stats, what I was able to look up, Charleston, how many do you think you got for playing against Montreal from 09 to 13? You have looks like here you had 6 games.
In 6 games, I could probably average that out to about 13 sacks.
What the fuck? What are you against Montreal? Yeah. You had 4. You had 4 sacks in those 6
Oh!
Holy cow. Shooting for the moon on that one.
Hold on. I had to process who the quarterback was. Never mind. I'll take that back. Yeah. And be on a quick pitch. He's a quick pitch guy. He's going to get it out fast.
Yeah, and Scotty on the O-line had some pretty decent talent on those boys with Brian Chu, Paul Lambert. We had Mudge back in the day. You had
Josh Burke and Jeff Parrott. We had some good guys, and all Canadian O-line too. And those 4 sacks, those were probably a quarterback or running back's fault anyway. They weren't even on the Come on.
I don't know about that one. I remember one time playing against Montreal, and it was probably the funniest moment of my career because all my teammates saw me afterwards. But I think I was trash talking. What's it, Jeff Parrott?
Yeah.
I was trash talking him the whole time, the whole game. I had got a sack on him, and I was telling him, how trash he was, how terrible of an athlete he was, this and that. Just obviously, I was using different language at that time, but I was talking a lot of trash to him the whole entire game. And we got into a scrum. So it was like a second or a 3rd and 1 kind of situation where, all the linemen are lined up in front of you. I'm in a 4-point stance. I hear Jeff Parrott tap. He might have crossed the set just to get in front of me, but I heard him tap the person next to him. He was lined up at tight end. Might have been Josh Burke or somebody lined up at tackle, and I heard him tap the tackle and go, "Get him." Yeah. And I was looking and I looked up and was like, oh, man. And I remember coming off the ball and the both of them hit me so hard, and I stood up and I was seeing stars, and I was stumbling all over the place, and my teammates saw me go through the mass collision right there, and then they were like, "Man, you all right?" And then I ended up just walking clean off the field right after that. I was spinning the whole game. My eyes were cross-eyed and everything. That was one of those moments where I was like, man, sometimes you just got to keep your mouth shut.
Hey, but that's part of the game though too. I mean that's but that happens every now and again. Sometimes you just gotta tap and walk off. Hey, I need to hide.
Do you remember, Scotty? Do you remember in your playing days, who did you play against was one of the worst talkers out there? There was one of the guys that you remember going, "Oh my God, is this guy gonna shut up?" Or one of those guys. There must have been guys like that in the league that you're going, "Holy cow, this guy's just." There's probably talented guys you guys played against that, that they were a heck of an athletes, but there's guys out there too that just like to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
Yeah, a lot of from my history anyway, from my playing, a lot of the guys that have been around, guys like Charleston, guys that have been around, it was more fun. I think that the guys that have been in the league a little bit longer maybe understood maybe the nuances of the league or whatever. Some of the new guys would always come in and they're trying to make a statement or they're trying to do things and trying to, it's just new to them. I think the guys that have been around, there's a more, because you play each other so often, right? So there's some commonality there, and the guys would have more fun with it than it was necessarily. I mean, everybody's obviously trying to win, but it wasn't demeaning. It wasn't bad. It was more fun than anything. But I mean, it all depends. There was a lot of guys that talked. There's a lot of guys that you just ignore. There was You know, I mean, I remember Demetrius back. Did you ever play with D-Max? I don't know, like, he was such an awesome player, but he wouldn't say too much. So if he was talking, it's like, oh, geez, I don't know what's going on. Whereas other guys, they just try to get under your skin and try to get you off your game. And that's part of the gamesmanship of playing.
Yeah.
So much of it is between your ears. You know, physically, it's not necessarily always that. It's just in between the ears. If you can get a guy off his game, and you gotta jump on it. You gotta keep preying on him. You have to. But yeah, I mean, talking and all that kind of, that's part of it, though. You know, I mean, you're a combat sport, right? You're in close contact, so any advantage that you can somehow gain, you have to use it. You have to take advantage of it.
Yeah, Charleston, what do you remember about playing against the Montreal Alouettes back in the day when they had the likes of Calvillo, they had, you know, John Bowman back then, they had, you know, all the talent that they had all over. What do you remember playing against the Montreal teams that won? Because that would have been your first year, right? 09, 10, Scotty, you won?
That was like my first couple years into the league, so I really didn't get a chance to like get grounded, right? Because I had my back up against the wall the whole entire rookie and and my first couple years into the league, especially because it's such a turnaround league. All you really get is maybe 3-4 years to kind of make your name, and then it gets ugly from that point about having longevity in the league. But I do remember from Montreal them being a very, you know, organized team in the way they run their offense. Like the offense was very calculated. They knew where they were going with the ball all the time. You like I said, Calvillo was a quick pitch guy. As soon as he get that ball in his hand from a shotgun position, you only got maybe 1,001, 1,002, and the ball's out. So, I mean, that's frustrating for a defensive line. I mean, it's probably awesome for an offensive lineman because you don't got to block that long. Yeah. But for going against a quarterback like that, man, it gets frustrating, man. And I know, like, there comes times where you can shoot your best pass rush move in the world, but you'll never get there. And I know for me, it's frustrating. But for our defensive coordinators, you got to be able to scheme up against that. You got to scheme up against when he does, you know, double pump or decide to go deep. You got to be prepared for that too. But you know, it's a hard offense to go up against, knowing that, you know, there's you know where the ball's going, you know how quick the ball's coming out, but you can't stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Scotty, what do you remember about your days playing? What are some of the most memorable moments? You had lots of, obviously, 3 Grey Cup champs. You're 9-time, 10-time, you know, all-star. Had lots of trips to the Grey Cup. I know I was there a few times watching you and having a few soda pops. You know, what were some of your most memorable moments playing in the CFL?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I had a chance to play in 8 Grey Cups. Kind of crazy, yeah. And only won 3 of them. So that's, you know, I mean, you think about that, lost 5, but it was, it was just, you know, you look back and it all just seemed to have gone so fast, you know, it really did. But when you're in it, I don't know if you really appreciate kind of what you're doing or where you're at while you're in it. You know what I mean? You've got blinders on, you're just focused. It's your job. It becomes the norm. At the beginning, it looks so big. And at the end, when you come out of it, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, Grey Cups, obviously the memories, the teammates. Honestly, like during this whole COVID thing, they've replayed a few of the, you know, the 09 Grey Cup and the 2010 Grey Cup. They replayed them. And I just watched those. I look back on the memories and just remembering the game. And then, you know, honest to God, they played that Saskatchewan game in 2010, that July 1st game where it was like 54. Yeah. I thought we won that game, but apparently we lost. So I don't remember it. But like, honestly, I look back on those teams and I look back on those guys and I just look at the receiving core and the amount of talent that we had. I mean, Andrew Hawkins was like a backup. He went on to the NFL to play for 7-8 years in the NFL after that. We had Jamel Richardson, S.J. Green, Brian Bratton, Ben Cahoon, Kerry Watkins. Man, one of those underrated. Kerry Watkins was a phenomenal football player.
Yeah, he is good.
He never quite got, you know, I mean, there was just so many other good guys. It was like he's just another one of those good guys. So, I mean, from Avon Coburn to Brandon Whitaker to, you know, I mean, all the guys on defense with Billy Park. I mean, I just look back on that and just think of, and then you see some guys that you hadn't thought about in a long time. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. He's a good dude, you know. So that's pretty neat. I mean, to watch some of this stuff over this time. You know, the one thing though is that like even for my kids and whatever, with football, it's like I could not see some of those guys for 10 years. And if I saw them right now, it would be like yesterday. It's like we were playing yesterday. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the unique things about football that I really take away, that it could be, yeah, okay, so I don't text, Burke and Parrott and all these guys all the time. But if I saw them right now, it would be like we were in 2008 again or whatever. You know what I mean? It would just, you go right back in time. And that's a special part about football, when you spend so much time with these guys, and such great guys.
Oh, I bet. I got one of your little teammates right here behind me right now. I mean, with Bowman and all his false retirement accusations that he keep throwing out there, I think he's retired about 4 times.
Yeah, he likes the attention and drama. Honestly, like John's he's a phenomenal man. Like, he really is. I mean, he came in and he learned under Anwar Stewart, right? Like Stu, he was mini Stu there for a while, and with Bo, he was just one of those unassuming, out of New York. He's actually got a twin. Like, he was just a really good teammate. And then all of a sudden he just started making plays, and you're like, you don't really, it was like, who is this guy? And then he just kept making plays. And then I mean, I remember one time, one of the most athletic things I ever saw him was, we were playing basketball in the off season doing their school tour, and he dunked at this basketball game, and the whole place went wild. I was like, Bo, I didn't know you could do that. That was pretty athletic. But that's just kind of him. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of creaks around a little bit, and then he can run stuff down. Like, yeah, he has absolutely forged a career there, and he deserves it, and he deserves it all, because he's a fantastic man, but he's a fantastic football player.
I think, Charleston, you're chasing him for the sacks, aren't you? He's a few ahead of you for these.
Yeah, he's actually the active leader, but I'm like maybe two, maybe 3 behind him. But I think that's why he won't retire, because I'm like 2-3 sacks behind him, and I'm like
Charleston's
creeping
coming
up on him slowly but surely. Yeah. So he keep playing, trying to hold me off for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Scott, we talked about, you mentioned 2009, and for Rider fans here, that's it's tough to be able to see this jersey and to be able to think about 2009. I showed Charleston an interesting, the video of the kick, right? I showed him that last week, Charleston, right? I think I showed you the kick, and I wanted to point out, I wish I had it on video here, but I wanted to point out one thing to you and ask you this question. What was your 40 time when you were playing?
It's slow.
Because your 40 time was, say, maybe what, like 5
4, maybe something. I don't know. Anyway,
5-4. But
yeah.
when that kick went through in 2009, obviously the second kick that was good, that won you guys the Grey Cup, I told Charleston, watch Flory right here. And as soon as the kick goes up, everybody's kind of focusing on the ball. I found you, and I think it was around a 40-yard kick.
Yeah.
Your time, I think you almost beat the ball down there to cross the uprights. Your time was like 2.7 from the 40-yard line to the time that the ball got through. Were you the one that got the ball after when it got through?
Yeah, I know I did. It was honestly like, it's one of those things where you're just in the moment. You don't really recognize what's going on, but it's significant, right? Because the first kick goes wide, and then all of a sudden it's chaos. There's flags everywhere, that everything's going, and you don't know what's going on. And then, the ref starts hitting his head. I'm like, okay, I know that's against them. That's too many men. Like, and you get another chance, and then I wasn't even thinking. It was just like, I wasn't consciously thinking, oh, I need that football or something. It just, like, I don't know. I just started running towards it. And some ball boy in the back of the end zone catches it. And I remember him holding it, and I just ran up to him, and I just took it from him. Like,
did you say anything? You just grabbed it?
It was just like, it was like one of those, the guys wearing those like biking uniforms or whatever, and he's got this like X on it. So I just took the ball, and I'm like, I turned around, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this now. I want to go party. So I ran to the side. I flipped it to my wife, was there with my brother. I flipped them the ball, and I went back and partied with my teammates. And yeah, I still got the ball.
Nice.
Got it in the basement, but it was just one of those things where you knew it was a phenomenal football game. And I don't know, I don't consciously remember saying, oh, I need that football, football, but it was just, it's nice to have a memento from a big event like that. And yeah, I still got the football. I still got my So
I was just surprised how quick you were flying down that. If you'd watch a replay, you just see you giving her and just like that. And I was going,
I'm disappointed in that moment right there, because as you are a coach at this point, I was waiting for your response to be, you know what? I was a well-coached athlete at that time, and I was covering a kick like my special team coach would have wanted me to do.
Yeah, right. Honestly, I was pissed that I even had to be on field goal and extra point, right? Usually they bring in D linemen or linebackers, especially on long kicks, to try and cover. But we had our whole line always covering the kicks, right? So yeah, and it was just a weird time. It just, everything happened so fast. You go from the lowest to low to the highest to high within like a minute, and it was crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the, well, for you, obviously one of the most exciting, CFL games that ever played. I think they had it for the top 10 Grey Cups. They had it at number 3 recently, right? For Rider fans, I know it was a tough one to swallow. I know I remember being at the Joe Dogs bar in Saskatoon. There was capacity was 400. There's 399 Rider fans in there. And then there's me wearing your jersey and didn't do that. So I just remember when that kick went through the second time, I kind of turned to look at Ripper, turned to look at Paul Fiend, and I said, okay, we're in for a battle here, boys, because I knew that the Rider fans were going to start to come at me and get ready to start to swing. There was a few guys that were, F you, F Flory, F you, blah, 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 blah. But, that's normal for when after the Riders lose. So.
Yeah, but that's part of the beauty. I mean, I get to be on the other end of it now from a collegiate standpoint, obviously not from a professional standpoint, but that's the passion of football in this province, man. And that's what makes it so special. Like it's a good thing. Yeah, there's going to be some, it's going to be adversarial. It's going to be, things like, but it comes from such a good place, and people love the game. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We want to talk about Saskatoon. The reason why we got this show, Charleston and I were down in Saskatoon. We went to a few places. We went to Crossmount Cider. We went to Lucky Bastard. We went to 21st Street Brewery. They're over at the Senator Hotel. We had a few beers, a few times that day, a few drinks. This is your chance to be able to be an advocate for the Saskatoon. Tell us what you love. What brought you back to Saskatoon? I mean, I'm sure that you had lots of choices to either stay in Montreal or to do a few things. What brought you back to the U of S? What brought you back to Saskatoon? Tell us, promote Saskatoon. Tell us what you love about Saskatoon.
Yeah, I think, at the end of it, I've had a chance to live a few places. I was born and raised in Regina. I lived in Montreal for a long time. And then, when I was retiring, coming to the end there, that we had a few opportunities from a family perspective, and we had a list of across Canada, some of the best cities where we could see ourselves kind of setting up. And one of them obviously was to stay in Montreal. When you get a chance to be there in that city, it's a phenomenal city, and it was tough for us to leave, but the opportunity and the ability to come back to Saskatoon and come back to Saskatchewan was one that we couldn't pass up from a family perspective. My wife works downtown. I get to go downtown, the river. I mean, the bike, everything about it, the institution, the university, the college town. I mean, Johan, right? You spend enough time here in this. You're from Saskatoon, right? Yeah. So, it's got a vibe to it that I really, really enjoy. And I think that when you go to some major centers across North America, but especially across Canada, right? There's a feel and there's a vibe to it. And this just does it on a smaller scale for me, in my opinion. I think that with the environment that is here, I was just out last night and walking with my buddies in town from Toronto, and he was just coming back to Saskatchewan, and it was just having that feel of just people are out, and there is a sense of it of alive to the city, even during these times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really is. It's accepting. It's warm. It's multicultural. It's dynamic. It's diverse. And the institution plays a big part of that, because it is a college town, because there's a 25,000 student university right in the heart of the city. And yeah, it's a fantastic place to raise a family too. So for me, it checked a whole lot of boxes. So, and I love it here, man. I get to do a dream job. You get to coach football, be a head coach of a college football team in probably the best place in Canada to be able to do it. So yeah, I'm I'm counting my lucky stars, I guess. I'm just really honored and blessed to be here.
That's awesome. And
ooh, he's in love with Saskatoon.
It really is. It's a good city. It offers everything that I think that people that I'm looking for anyway in a city. So you get enough, and we're actually starting to get some height downtown. There's those 3 towers going up, so you're getting some verticalness to the city,
yeah.
right?
Which is odd in Saskatchewan to be able to do that, but yeah, no, and I know, I love Saskatoon. We love going back there as a family. Mom and dad are there. My son is there, oldest boy. So Saskatoon is just, as compared to Regina. Regina's more of a government town and doing that, where Saskatoon is it's beautiful. You got the bridges. Charleston, how many? You told the mayor yesterday. It's the city of bridges, right? So
yeah, the city of bridges. However many bridges there, it's a lot of them.
I mean, just the nightlife, the pubs, the bars, the Broadway. I mean, there's so many different places. I know, Scott, you were a big advocate of Sparky's Pizza here in Regina during your days. He would always, Charleston, I don't know if you know this, but when Scotty would play here, he would make sure that when he was taking the flight home, he'd have some Sparky's Pizzas to be able to take back to Montreal. Any places in Saskatoon that you're a big advocate of, or restaurants, any places that you and the coaches like to go out for a few beers after, any places like that?
Well, I'm a Leo's guy. I mean, my buddy kind of started the whole chain and all that kind of stuff, and he's
Greg
there,
Hooker, or who?
What's that?
Greg Hooker, or who's your buddy from Leo's?
No, I know Greg. Pinch, Matt.
Okay.
Pinch. So yeah. So Matt. I was actually just there. We walked down there. There's one kind of in my neighborhood. So I think that you go eat downtown. I was just down at. If you had Carver's of Aiden, have been the Cathedral Social House. I was there the other day. I mean, there's some really good, nice places down on the water.
Yeah.
Too bad the place in the Pez went under, the Japanese place. That was really good.
The Samurai.
Samurai, yeah. I was there right before it closed, and I do. I think that there's a feel to it. You know what I mean? I don't go to as many of the bars and all that stuff anymore. I'm a different demographic now, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's just part of the deal. I mean, there's a lot of access to be able to do a lot of things, and especially when you come from having lived in Montreal, where you had such access to a lot of different things. You can get that here just on a smaller scale is all.
Yeah.
Do you still go to Smiley's, or are you trying to preserve your sexy figure?
No. Stay away from there. But you know what? You talked about Regina, and it's so funny when I look back as an offensive lineman. I mean, I'm working on getting rid of it. But when you're the whole trip was about, okay, boys, where are we going to have our food? We all had our where we're going to eat, what we're going to do. And you're right. We used to play those Saturday afternoon games in Regina, and then we'd head right to the airport and fly back to Montreal. And I would call Derek at Sparky's and have, okay, I need 10 extra large, and he'd deliver it right to the airport. You could take it through security. You can't take liquids, but you could take a pizza through security. We sell the pizza slices to the boys, and it was good. That was good. Good times.
Back in the day. I remember one story about Scott Flory. We have many, but one, I'll keep it short. That Charleston, back then I was a beer rep for a Saskatchewan company called Great Western. And Scott was playing back in the early days. I think it was 02 or 01, or probably about 02 or 03. Coach Matthews. Scott was coming here to Regina. And Charleston, did you ever get beer in your locker room when you played at Taylor Field after the game?
Negative.
No.
Okay.
No.
So it wouldn't happen too often, even though Scott and the Alouettes were sponsored by Molson Export. I think they had on their jerseys at the time. Scott would call me up and say, hey, Owen, any chance we can get some beer for after the dressing room? And I'd be like, sure, no problem. Yeah, okay, let me see what I can do. Well, Molson sponsored the Riders. Molson sponsored the Alouettes, but I was going to give my friend Scott Flory some beer for after. And I said, is it all right with Coach Matthews? He's like, yeah, no problem. So I pull up in front of Taylor Field when they arrived the day before the game, and I pull out my hockey bag. In my hockey bag, I think I got about 12 dozen beer. And do that, right? And I want to come and bring it to the boys. I want to make sure that they have a few nice cold Saskatchewan beers after. And I turn over as I'm pulling this Great Western van right in front of the stadium. I turn over and look, and there's the Molson rep, Marco Ricci, and he's looking over at me, and he's just
I
staring
know
at
he's
me.
pissed.
Yeah, he'd be like taking Budweiser into, Molson Canadian Stadium, and it would be like, it's the total opposite. And I was just like, oh my God, there's Marco. And I just kind of made my way into the locker room and dropped off the beers. I got to meet some of the players and the trainers back in the day. I don't know if it was Jock or I forget who the trainers were back then. Yeah, and it was awesome. I was just pumped to be able to be there and help out a friend. But it was one of those things where I came out after, and Marco looked at me and he goes, "Johan, what the fuck are you doing?" Like that. I said, "My friend, I needed beer. I'm sorry, I didn't know what to do." And to do that.
See, Charleston, you came into the league just when that was ending, man. Early in my career, like I remember first little bit, you come in from a game and every locker room there would just be tubs of beer, and you just have 2-3 beer, whatever. Some guys would be putting their backpacks and they'd leave, and then around 07, 08, it all across the league, it all stopped. So yeah, that was standard issue, man. Everywhere you went, you had actually, I think
they stopped all that, and I got there in 08. And no, it was like a tight program being run. It was very militant, I guess you would say. The only thing that I wish they would bring back to the CFL that I missed from that time was the Movado watches. Those Friday night Movado watch games, Friday night gridiron games used to be fun. I used to look on the schedule and see, all right, where's the Friday game?
What would you get? You would get a Movado watch or what?
Player of the game got a Movado watch.
Really?
Yeah. If you were a player of the game for that Friday, you got a Movado watch. So I'd line up all those Fridays and mark them on the calendar. Like, you know what? As long as I have an awesome game, that's all that matters.
That's when you're getting your 6.
And those are really nice watches. I actually got one. I didn't win it, but we went into Hamilton one game in Avon, Coburn. We were bugging them before. You're exactly right. Is that they're giving out these watches, your Friday Night Warrior, whatever they called it. And Avon said before the game, he said, "Hey, if I run for whatever and I win the award, one of you old linemen's going to get it." So after the game, he put all their names in a hat, and I won the watch, and he gave it to. Those are great watches. I'm with you, Charles.
Oh no, they were great watches, and at the time, I was just like, man, you mean to tell me I could win a watch? All I got to do is play good.
6 sacks for Charleston Hughes later.
Yeah.
Maybe we got to start talking to the CFL about doing this, because it sounds like motivation for everybody to have better games on Friday night. We got to see what we can do.
Oh, it was 100%. It was.
Yeah, we got to see which companies maybe we can talk to, and at CFL, if you're watching, let's discuss a few of these motivational type games. We can get some awards. Scotty, anything else you can tell us about your days that you remember like that? They're fun. They're back in the day now that you did back then versus now.
No.
You better not maybe say that.
Yeah, no, honestly, like I just I get a chance to coach now with a bunch of guys that did play. We got a fantastic group of guys, but a lot of guys that did play in the CFL. I think the one thing that the CFL has is that, especially with guys that have been there and played, and there's just it's such a small league, and it's such a tight-knit kind of football community. And it's just so unique in that there's just that. I think that so many guys look back and they smile, right? Like you look back and Charleston, you're not there, you're still in it. But, when you get a chance in a few years to be able to, or maybe more, to look back, I think that, guys there's a lot of friendships, there's a lot of bonds. There's the certain guys that stick around for a long time, and anybody that's been through it, I think that there's a general appreciation. And you just tell stories of stuff that just shouldn't or wouldn't normally happen in a professional league that happened in the CFL. Like, listen, my defense coordinator is Warren Muzica. He played back with Ozzie and those guys in Hamilton, right? He won a Grey Cup in '99. And, man, they were smoking at halftime and stuff, like literally having a cigarette. So it's those kind of things that would never happen anywhere else, and that they happen in the CFL. And I think that's part of the beauty and the uniqueness of it. And it is a fantastic league. It's not going anywhere.
Oh, I remember when I first got to Calgary back in 08, like the previous D-line coach that was in Calgary for 07, he was an underwear model. So like I ain't gonna name drop him, but yeah, he was an underwear model. So he was like a Calvin Klein underwear model in like Market Mall and places like this where you'll see photos of him like.
Just trying to make a few bucks on the side, man. I mean, but that's just part of the CFL. And the one thing, it's such a great. It goes too fast, but it's such a fantastic league, and I know, just so many good memories, and it's good. It was a really good time, really fun time.
That's awesome. Now that you're with U of S too, tell us a little bit about U of S. You guys, Charleston, I don't know if you know about the history of U of S. Obviously, I went there. I know about it. I grew up. So U of S, very storied football university, I think, for many years. But one of the reasons why is that previous to Scott, there was a coach, Brian Towers, Bomber, and he had so many good coaches, and Schneider, and Scotty, you'd probably name them off better than I can. But U of S was such a storied career, and it had a coach, BT, Brian Towers, that was there for 29 years, roughly.
33.
How many?
33.
33 years. He was the head coach of University of Saskatchewan. So obviously that tells you about kind of the tenure. Scotty comes in and able to come in and have a year under him, right, as the offensive coordinator, Scotty. And then
I was here. So BT was my head coach, and then I was 3 years under him, as offense coordinator, and then he retired, and then I was fortunate enough to be in the running and be the head coach here, just going in my third, just 3 years now. So
3 years of many.
It all happened pretty quickly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how now you've kind of taken that story tradition from the great coach BT and all the guys there, and now you've kind of brought on your system, your ways, and what you're looking to do. Obviously, like you mentioned earlier, last year the U of S Huskies had 5 players drafted in the CFL draft. Tell us what you're looking to do, and tell us how that's going.
I'll be honest with you, Johan, I don't want to oversimplify things, but I mean, listen, Charleston, you've won championships. You've been on great football teams. To me, I'm just trying to take the bits and pieces of the stuff that I saw and that I was around, the personalities, the structure, the body types, and the kind of guys I think you need to be able to win championships. You got to have fun. You got to work hard. You got to enjoy it. You got to love football. You got to have some structure. The last thing you want is a player to come in and be chaos, right? They got to know what's going on a daily basis, and have some good guys that know how to communicate and just treat people. And I say it to recruits all the time. I say it to our guy. I mean, we're just a bunch of guys that love football, and we just enjoy being around each other and playing and having fun. The university it's a unique age. There's a handful of guys on every university team that's going to have a chance to go on. So the form and the function of what we do, it's about education. It's about giving these guys the best student athlete experience that they can have while they're here at school. And we just try to do the right things, man, and make good decisions and keep guys around so that we find the right guys, keep them around so they can have a great time. And it's different. The recruiting game is different. Dealing with 17-year-olds is different than dealing with professionals. Like it is. But man, they love it, and the guys want to learn. And I got a great group of guys around me that help us teach these young men. And we're lucky. We got a ton of support, man. Football's important in Saskatchewan. It's important to our university. It's an important part of who we are and what we do here at the University of Saskatchewan. So, I got a great gig, and I love it. So I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's awesome.
I'm sold. I think I'm going back to school. Sign me up at U of S.
Yeah.
I gotta finish my degree.
Honestly, listen, Charleston, you've been on championship football teams, right? Like, I think that you when you're around that and you're in that environment, you can't help but soak up some of the things and the guys and how the quarterback carries himself, to how the receivers and how the coaches were, and I'm just trying to do, I guess, my part to, I don't know what your future is or what your plans are, Charleston, but if you do try to get into coaching or whatever that is, it's just to try to recreate that as best you can with being you, with being genuine to being you.
Right. Just your style and the way you do it, the way you put the pieces to the puzzle together, right?
Yeah.
I look at it the same way, especially with championship teams like that. Every championship team that I've been a part of, they all operated a certain way. Like when we were on the field at practice, although we'll be arguing, in practice and talking about, different positions. Hey, you get in your position, you get in your position. And then, you're having that kind of chemistry amongst the team. And then you take that same chemistry to a game, and the game don't even feel different from practices. Like, because we practice so hard, then the game feels just like another practice, because we're having the same conversations that we were having at practice on the game field. Now, in between plays, then by the time the quarterback goes into his cadence, boom, everybody's locked in. And, it's weird when you can play football and the games feel like practices and you're still winning games. I mean, it's awesome to me when you can put that kind of chemistry together on the field.
Yeah, and to me, I think your one statement there just kind of sums it up, is what you're having fun. It's guys are holding each other accountable, and then you said you'd lock in, and that's the thing that I've found with championship teams, that you know how to have fun, but I tell you, when push comes to shove, you lock in because you are so focused and so determined, right? And that's to win those championships, because you have to be, because it's so hard. So that's just something that I know myself and what the guys around us, what we're trying to instill in our guys, and give that ownership to the players to be able to say, hey, this is your team. I'm, as much as, I'm the head coach, this is your team, and we're going to go as far as you want. And that's, it's just part of our philosophy, I guess, and how we do things. So
that's awesome. That's good to be able to take forward. And thanks for sharing that with us. Charleston, anything else you wanted to ask for Mr. Flory?
Yeah, man, I asked Charlie the same question, but I would like to know, what's your favorite ice cream?
I was just at, I'll tell you this, I'll pump another local Saskatoon, but I was just at Homestead here on the weekend, a great ice cream shop, and it was overwhelming. I couldn't see any pictures, and they just had it all written down. I didn't know what half of them were, because I would like to see the picture, what's in it, and I went with Oreo cookies and cream anyway, so maybe that's my favorite. It was pretty
standard. We just talked about that yesterday with Mayor Charlie Clark. I said that my days growing up in Saskatoon, mom and dad would always take us to the Dairy Queen on 8th Street, the one that's standing outside and doing that. And then Homestead. We'd always go to this Homestead ice cream. So there you go, Charleston. We've got 2 plugs for Homestead. We got to maybe stop by before we go to the bars next time, instead of after, because after it's closed. So we got to do that next time we're in Saskatoon. So
definitely.
Well, Scotty, we wanted to thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. I wanted to make sure you say hi to Tash and the kids, say hi to everybody. Good, all the best to you with what's upcoming. I know it's an unknown time, unprecedented time that we have coming ahead of us with with COVID and the unknown for football in the next little bit and where you're at. But it sounds like you got a great leadership team over at the U of S. We wish you all the best. And Charleston always kind of closes out the show and says a few words of wisdom, so I'll let him finish it off.
Coach Scott Flory, should I say. I'm happy to see all the great things that you're doing. Good luck to all your future endeavors. Good luck to your recruiting class, although everything might be virtual for quite some time here on out. So make sure you show those guys and treat those future guys right. But this is called the Better with Age podcast. And I know you looking great right now, buddy, and you looking way better with age. But there's many things that get better with age, whether it's leather, whether it's whiskey, whether it's cheese. I've had a piece of cheese in my drawer for about well over 6 months, because I'm waiting to see how long does it take for craft cheese to expire. And it hasn't yet. It still looks edible. But yes, all these things get better with age, but the most important thing that gets better with age is friendships. And although we are never played as teammates before, but we've played against each other, and I know you're a great guy and you're a friend of Johan. Any friend of Johan is a friend of mine.
Appreciate it, man. I just want to say thanks, guys, for having me on. You guys are 2 fantastic guys, personalities, and I wish you nothing but the best with everything. You guys, people keep tuning in, man. This is awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Scotty. All the best to you. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it. Next time you guys are in town, I'll join you for a pint.
Well, we got to get
Leo's. It is.
Yeah, Leo's. We got to go. We got to join up with the mayor too. So the 4 of us will all get together and have a few pints over at Leo's.
Cheers. You bet, boys.
Okay. See you, Scotty.
See you guys.